One sort of positive that has come out over the past couple of days, and I suppose we've seen this happen before. I think this is a mega fight. Gervonta Davis, Ryan Garcia. We're seeing signs that this is edging closer. Reports of, and I know you've been around the block hundreds of thousands of times. We've seen.
Spare me. I mean, I don't care what any headline says. Framework of a deal. That's a lot of bullshit, because framework is one thing, but until they have a broadcast situation ironed out, it means absolutely nothing. The broadcast situation is literally the most important part. And right now, and maybe this will change, there is not a seeing of eye to eye in whether this fight would be carried in America by DAZN, by Showtime pay-per-view, or a combination of the two. So until that is squared away, there's no fight. I don't want to hear about it.
No, we can't go there, no.
No, I mean, you can go there. I mean, I'm not telling you how to conduct your interview, but I'm just making the point that there's so much misinformation, and I don't want to get people excited and think, oh my God, this fight's happening. First of all, it's certainly not happening this year, even though they were hoping it would happen this year. If it does happen, and it's a massive if, it would be in the early part of January.
That's why.
And the reason for that is because Gervonta Davis faces several serious criminal charges due to a alleged hit and run accident in his hometown of Baltimore. The trial for that case had been scheduled for mid-December. So that would obviously, if it was going to be in December, would most likely preclude a December fight with Ryan Garcia, because number one, you can't do a fight during Christmas week, at least in the United States. It doesn't make economic sense. So that would limit your ability to do that. And obviously he's got an important situation in his personal life to deal with. So, but that court date that was scheduled a few weeks ago for December 12th has now been moved, and his trial is not until February. So by moving the trial date to February, it would allow them theoretically to have this fight in January. But there's a lot of heavy lifting that needs to be done before that can happen. And the most significant aspect of that is how is this going to be broadcast? Showtime has no interest in working with DAZN. DAZN would do it, but they're the younger brother situation. Like, of course they'll do it because they need Showtime more than Showtime needs it. Showtime's been doing plenty of Gervonta Davis business on its own without the help of anybody. They feel like they have the better expertise in American pay-per-view. Hard to argue with that, to be quite frank. DAZN's perspective is, we are a company that has invested millions of dollars into Ryan Garcia, and we deserve to be part of this. And it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, because the two sides are going to have to agree, or the athletes are going to have to make a determination what they're going to do. My understanding is Gervonta Davis, although he is aligned with Showtime, with PBC and Heyman, he doesn't have a contract with them. He works with them. Garcia does have a contract with Golden Boy, which has a deal with DAZN. It's a very complicated situation. There's no easy answers.
Yeah, you see a lot of things come online. Gervonta seems to go on these little. He tweets quite a lot, then deletes them.
Right.
You've been seeing this about them not being signed to. Either I don't know half the time he's referencing to Heyman, to Mayweather Promotions, because there was once talk of him being now free from his contract. So nobody really knows.
I think he's talking about Mayweather Promotions.
Yeah. So do you believe that he's free from that Mayweather Promotions contract now, and that it's down to him?
I mean, I have no, I don't have any proof of it except for what Gervonta says. It's simple as that. If he says he's free, that would be something that would have to be worked out between him and his, whether they're the promoter or not. But, if the athletes want to make a fight, usually fights can get made. And, Ryan Garcia, to his credit, has been calling for this fight, and I think doing whatever he can do for a long time, trying to will this fight into existence. Clearly, Gervonta Davis is interested in the fight also. It really is truly a great fight. Two great young stars, two undefeated fighters with carry big punching power. Both have distinct fan bases. It would be a very big event. Apparently they've agreed on what the weight would be. It would be 136 pounds, so just over the limit. So not even a championship fight, because Gervonta has a second-tier title in the lightweight division. But if you're fighting at 136, it's a non-title fight. But that doesn't mean it can't be a big event. You don't have to have a world title at stake to make a big event. It's just it's a tremendous fight. I mean, I don't see how it could be anything less than entertaining. I'm still very skeptical about the fight happening.
We've seen it sort of like historically again over the years when we look about how these big fights get made, and everyone keeps saying if the fighters want it to happen, it'll happen. But then when you look at HBO and Showtime over the years when they put events on, but then when you see the relationship with obviously PBC and everyone, and how they work with DAZN, and how everyone sort of how they talk about each other, it doesn't give me hope that this will happen at all.
Yeah. So again, I'll go back to my original comment. It's one thing for there to be a quote unquote framework, and that means what the split of the money is, how are you going to divvy up this, how are you going to do that, maybe what they're going to call the fight, who gets, just sort of stuff like who's coming in the ring first, stuff that really doesn't matter, but you still got to work out. But at the end of the day, all that, it doesn't mean anything unless you have the ability to bring that event to the public, and you bring that event to the public via a broadcast, a streaming service, however it is going to be carried. And until you agree on that, because these are, big companies with millions of dollars invested in their product, and they want to be part of it. And how could you blame Showtime for wanting to be involved in a Gervonta Davis fight when they have supported his career for years? And how could you blame DAZN for wanting to be involved in a Ryan Garcia fight when they have supported his career for the last several years? And they know that other than a Canelo Alvarez, he's the single biggest driver of their subscriptions that they have in terms of boxing. So I get it.
In terms of money, though, surely both networks look and go, there's enough enough money in the pot for everyone to be happy here. Surely.
I mean, it may sound bizarre, but in this particular case, it's not only about the money, because the networks themselves, a DAZN, a Showtime, yeah, they'll make money on the event if it happens, but it's not enough that's going to be that massive to their bottom line. But what is important is to identify with the event. DAZN is still a fledgling product in the United States. Most people don't know about DAZN in the United States. If you put on this caliber of a fight, it helps bring your product, your name recognition, your knowledge of your existence to the public, and that's very important. So more so than whatever dollar amount that may go to your bottom line, having all these people know that you exist and you carry sports product and you carry boxing programming and other sports programming is very, very important for them. And in terms of for Showtime, they have their same model they've worked under for many years, where they've done top-notch fights on their premium cable channel, as well as carry bigger events on pay-per-view, and they want to keep that going. And from their perspective, why would they want to assist somebody that they view as a potential competitor? It was different in HBO and Showtime days. They were both well established. Everybody knew that HBO was the big daddy. They had more subscribers, but Showtime had a lot of subscribers too. They were on a more even footing than DAZN and Showtime. And in the case of the famous fight between Lewis and Tyson going back many years, I mean, they both had exclusives with each guy. Tyson obviously was the bigger name, but Lennox was the champion, so that was sort of made sense to do that. And frankly, at that time, if people want to delve into the history, there's been a bazillion things written about it. Showtime needed that fight more than HBO. Lennox Lewis went to the people at HBO and told them, I want this fight, and that his career was incomplete without fighting Tyson. And Showtime desperately wanted that fight because they had advanced Mike Tyson so many millions of dollars. They needed to get their money back, because otherwise, if he didn't have this fight, that was going to be just a write-off, because they were never going to make it back. In the case of Mayweather Pacquiao, sort of the same deal. You had the mega fight of mega fights. There was way too much money to be made. Floyd and Pacquiao were somewhat on even footing. And at the end of the day, they all knew that there was way too much money not to make it. And the proof was in the pudding, because it did 4.6 million pay-per-view buys just in the United States. And it set every conceivable record that you could imagine for boxing, whether it's gate, sponsors, ticket sale, merchandise, you name it, soup to nuts, closed circuit, pay-per-view. Now, Garcia against Ryan Garcia against Tank Davis is a great fight. But let's just get one thing clear. Compared to those other endeavors where the networks cooperated, even if you go in the more recent past, when ESPN and Fox collaborated on the rematch between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, and then again on the third fight between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, fights that were made much more easily because there was a more collegial behavior between the two networks. Those are pretty big fights also. Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis is not in the same remote stratosphere of the number of dollars and pay-per-views that will generate compared to those other much, 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 much bigger fights.